And I want to welcome you to this program that is here to enlighten more about issues that happen in this country and also outside this country if necessary, but mostly about a common person, and we relate it to policies. Today, I want to talk about a very sensitive topic that has been in this country. You know, sometime back we had thought that maybe I've moved away from tribalism and ethnic sentiments, but it seems they have come back. And this bill of coffee bill, it brought them back. And some people, those people who are watching, those people who are on TikTok, there's a trending song, I think of Sebata, that has been trending everywhere. And it brought a lot of sentiments from people who are Bagana, those who are not. And even today, it forced some MPs who are from Western Uganda who came out and said, it's not true that we people from Western Uganda or members from Western Uganda, we are supporting everything that is being done to different people. And they were like, they are distancing themselves from the bill that want to see UCDA elazed. So, and that one made me look for someone who is competent with the politics of Uganda, who is competent with the economics of Uganda. But there some people don't know. Mr. Mukaku is a very educated person with more than 1 degree. Some few days back, I saw some people talking about things they don't know, but I brought Mr. Mukaku, very educated, rich with the politics of Uganda, rich with the economics of Uganda, and I want to welcome him.
Thank you, and good evening, comrade, and good evening, everyone who is watching. I want to thank DreamTV for the opportunity, and the sister TV that these days you talk about, the BTV, plus the Impact family of media houses. You're doing a great job to inform Ugandans, educate or edutain and entertain. It's a noble service to Ugandans. We need to be celebrated and thanked. I hope today the people enjoy our program.
They will indeed. Yeah, the question is too, why is it that coffee has brought back tribal sentiments? And coffee, a product that we see that is for whole Ugandans and for every common person, has become political, has become tribal. What do you see out of that?
3 mistakes.
You can tell people and they get to know what are those
3 mistakes. 1, from the institution that is supposed to be for us all, that is government. Unfortunately, because we have failed in the governance to fix our governance problems and leadership problems. Number 2, the mistake in the way our institutions focus on the type of civic education and information they must give. The 3rd mistake, because of a terrible gaffe of the speaker. 3 mistakes.
So you think that's why
in the number one, the way government has managed this, because it seems to do certain things good for some people, for certain sectors. And you wonder why it becomes blind or probably incompetent or non-existent or unwilling when handling sectors elsewhere that help people elsewhere. Think about how they have handled the milk sector, the dairy sector. Think about how they have handled animal husbandry.
It's not about milk.
Vis-a-vis crop
today,
husbandry.
Honorable Mbate Kamwa, representing people of Igara, he said, when you look into taxation, every product in Uganda is taxed except milk. So even bananas, whenever he said, he gave example of his constituents that buyers go to his constituent, buys bananas, but when they get to Ishaka, they are charged. But people go to his constituents, pick milk with vehicles which didn't pay taxes.
Red numbers.
Red numbers. And they are not charged anything. And he was asking why. Even he brought out another thing. He said they were crying for help as tea farmers. They have never received anything, even a response from government about it. But he's worried. Why are they concerned about coffee, which is doing very well?
So when I bring out the issue that the way they failing to fix the governance question, government seems to have all the competences in handling certain sectors. Then it loses all the competences and all the focus and the capabilities when it is handling certain other sectors. Same government. Then people start to question more. Why is it that the other one is succeeding, this one is not? When you bring a good program, for example, the rationalization of government departments and sectors, why is it that with a certain, it loses its eyes on when it handles one aspect, which might not even be an economic social command height, but then it loses sight when it is handling a major social command height like coffee, which contributes 24–25% to our GDP. Then questions will definitely be raised, and people feel there is selective treatment. And as they moot that particular understanding, then you don't help when it comes to how your government departments, public institutions handle. Those are empowered to handle information, civic education, and enlightenment of the general public. Yes. You remember how Uganda Revenue Authority failed to explain IFRIS. Just go bang, hit the people, hit the whatever. And people start to raise questions. Why are you behaving like this? Simply because some officials, the marketing department of URA is failing to handle public information aspect. Now, this is the same thing. When you're talking about rationalization, bring it all together. If you're talking about crops, talk about all the crops, okay? Don't be selective.
But not so many crops have MDAs.
Yeah, they have.
Do you have maize MDA? Do you have banana MDA? Do you have orange MDA?
No. They are these ones which are adding a lot of money, to a lot of value to our GDP. Yeah, and if you are talking about cotton, if you are talking about those ones, the cash crops, the ones that were in the category of cash crops, and then they produce. Talk about it, how all they are not performing, and then go on to handle one by one. But if you are going to come as heavy as government did this time, and the institutions that are concerned, Parliament and the like, as heavy as they have done to coffee, those who produce coffee will start to question. Then secondly, you see the debate is drifting into you are targeting a certain farmers from a certain place. Also talk about Bugishu, talk about how people are starting to grow coffee in northern Uganda. Talk about now bigger farmers in western Uganda who are producing a lot of coffee. But if you're not going to talk about them, just talk about these small scale farmers who are here, then you yourself, you are going to be culpable of selective treatment. Then lastly, the gifts from senior government officials. I cannot understand how it came to the mind of the speaker in handling such a sensitive debate to even come to her mind that you have to Gandanize
because
or non-Gandanize.
On that statement, I want to borrow from a letter that was from Parliament Communications, which say that whatever was said, it was AI work. It was artificial intelligence work. And so the thing of Gandanizing was made by people who used AI wrongly in order to fight the persons of the speaker.
You see, the problem with our regimes and government people, not just the NRM, but most African, is coming out to own up is a huge problem. Coming up to own up. If the government, the NRM government and the parliament and the other institutions came out and said, oh, there was a mistake here, we are sorry. She misused the phrase. Everyone will understand and forgive. Okay? But then you are creating a mirror of people are already stigmatized. You don't want to accept. What happens next? Buy a leaf from what other governments do. If you have made a mistake, say sorry. Move on. But for you to go on and defend the indefensible, you are basically putting petrol on fire. Because you're not going to deny that was not something uttered by the speaker. It is everywhere on social media, it's everywhere.
But we've seen AI creating so many things.
But you've seen, but what happened this time? What levels of AI do we have as Ugandans? Huh? You see, you're using the wrong approach.
Mr. Mukaku, why don't you buy
to deny?
Why don't you buy the official communication from Parliament and we go with it?
Okay. Do you remember what Winnie Dolo said?
Yes, I can
last time.
And he owned it. And
eventually, he also started like that. Then eventually he realized it was, and after a week, he went to say sorry. Since he said sorry, people, yes, they remember the very, very bad utterances that he made in very bad faith. But they forgave. What's so difficult now? I want to tell them as a Democrat, let them learn from some of us and from our neighbors. When you say sorry, and you humble yourself when you say sorry, is not just eating the pie. Sorry goes far. That's why the other time you saw us talking about outing what we call the national transition, reforms and the reconciliation agenda, to reconcile with your neighbor, with the one you've hurt. Yeah?
So it means very soon we may see you going to Bobi Wine apologizing to him for the words you've said about him.
If I have to, I think you will have to apologize to me. But still, the same behavior. The same behavior. I'm happy that you're bringing it up. Same behavior.
Because so many times we've talked.
He never makes a mistake. He never does this.
But
they even give them themselves names of.
I want us to agree that you created that. You people, you created that.
I have very often come and said, for whatever the mistake we did in choosing.
Not choosing. You created Tasobia.
No.
Takorachi.
That's the very reason we departed. We parted ways. That's the very reason. Because I used to challenge that. Even coming to a meeting where he's supposed to be first among equals and he brings a tall stool to show his authority. That's stupid. You're only first among equals. So when I point that one out, you feel so uncomfortable and feel.
So I was one person.
Yeah.
I was one person who met you in the same period. Let me remind you. I was with you before they gave out the card. I remember very well the interview had. Me and you. I remember asking, if they don't give you a card, what will you do? You told me, the other people are my party. It was after like 2 weeks.
The other people are my?
Yes, I mean, no, nationality platform. It's my party.
No, I said I'm people power. I never said nationality.
You owned it before they gave out.
I just said we are the same team.
The next thing I saw, it was a letter calling me for a press briefing at Barintuma, not with DP, but where Camillon had put his campaign team, this house near Pastor Kayua's. And then the language had changed from what you were saying. And with the interview I had with you, it's unfortunate that that day, police intercepted and then they could not make us move as it would be. So I come here, from that time up to now, You've been annoyed. People have talked a lot about you. And you've also given fire back to people. When you talk about reconciliation and everything, as you're saying, and someone humbling himself and accepting that I made a mistake, that's why I come to say, will I see Unayemkak also going to people? He annoyed and say, for the goodness of this country, for the goodness of our struggle, let's put these things aside and we move. And
First
then
of
go back to
all,
our topic.
you need to know who Mkaku is. I am here as a victim of many things, many atrocities committed to me not by the government of Obote, Idi Amin or Lutwa, or Binais. I went to the safe houses for 6 months, military barracks in Bia for 6.5 months, Luzira Upper Prison for 14 months, returned again and again. I'm still on a certain case. Even when I came out, I never came out with anger. I just said, maybe in their perspective, they thought that is the right direction. But I want to tell them that was the wrong direction. We need to talk positively and chart a way forward. Even to those who wanted to take me to the gallows, even to those with whom I have bayonets in my side cheek, I lost teeth. I have pins in my nails and in my private parts. I have not turned out to come with anger. So don't you think just a denial of a ticket can put me off forever? Okay? But one thing is true. When we point out, look, when you brought a 10-point program, you didn't fulfill A, B, C, D, E. For now, 40 years. Don't call it an abuse or annoyance. We are only pointing out the gaps, the misgivings, and probably the missed opportunities. When I point it out to my friends that while we blame Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for A, B, C, D, E, we look shabby and funny when we do the same thing and justify that Museveni must be removed. When journalists, members of the fourth estate, and some members of the public, and those in loop take it to be annoyance, then I shudder. Because how shall we correct the mistakes when we don't point them out? Going back to what I said, I am a founder member of the People Power, co-founder of the People Power.
Right,
and I said then, I will not destroy what I've shed blood to construct. Neither shall I kill a baby that I gave birth to. Okay? But one thing is true. When you get off the rails, I'll point it out. And I'll tell you, please, can you correct the mistakes? Can you mend ways? Okay? That's exactly what I've been saying. Look, I've also pointed it out. We won the general elections, especially in the area of Buganda and Busoga. I don't think it is also good to go against the very people that gave us the votes instead of adding on to others. When you point out some of these things, they say, now, why are you pointing out these? And that is Mkaku for you. What I'm saying, in the case of today's theme that you have brought.
Yes. Because
Number
today,
one,
let me add you this. A president that you endorsed recently, Honorable Mathias Mpuga, with DP blog, because that one I'm sure I even had Mr. Henry here, he confirmed that you endorsed him. He today came out and said, whoever wants to destroy Uganda, Uganda is no longer a tribe, it's a nation, because it's comprised of many people. And many people have become Baganda, will fall with it. It's a very big statement.
So is that an annoyance?
It's a big statement.
Is that an annoyance?
No, it's a big statement that is...
Big, no doubt. But is it an annoyance from somebody?
So I want you to, I want to show you how much this coffee has gone.
I have already
Like,
indicated to you.
and I know Mr. Mpuga is someone who's careful with his words. And he doesn't just use them. He uses them very carefully. So what do we pick out of that? Why are we really pushing coffee to the tension that it can even see a destruction of or anything that is something bad or something that
I
is
love the
fierce.
way you use we, but let's be specific and say, why is it that some people are pushing into that? And I've given you the three angles. The angle of failed governance and leadership. People failing to understand that if I handle this subject like this, I'm not doing good good service to what we call good statecraft. Okay, there's a time, you know, if I speak, you see, there is now what we call in all development politics. There's what we call being politically correct. Okay, being politically or civically correct. That's why these days they no longer refer to people as lame or this, they say disabled. We don't refer to them as crippled. We say he's physically disabled or mentally disabled. Why? Because you don't want to create stigma in somebody who only needs help, or who is only saying, I need justice, or I need fairness. So this is the same thing. You cannot be government and fail to articulate issues, and you indicate as though you are selectively treating some people as first-class citizens, second-class citizens, or third-class citizens. Secondly, if your government department give out information correctly and to all, this information is for all. We are all taxpayers. And if you are speaker, don't be reckless with your vocabularies, okay? Don't be reckless with the vocabulary. If you feel you don't have the word, nobody forces you to say it. How on earth would it even come as a figment that, you know, in this bill we are fighting Uganda or we are not? Because that's how it appeared to be. But even after it is said, quickly realize that I was not politically correct and say sorry. And that would put the whole thing behind, and we move to a new thing, focusing on things that are important.
Did you read the media statement that they produced? They even cited examples where Speaker, in that same bill, when they were debating it, where she tried her best to say that MPs don't go tribal. That they cited
this is what helps that. That is good, but what helps it is the sorry, genuine sorry from the Speaker herself. You see, we can quote, cite, whatever, as long as it doesn't come from your mouth to say, I'm really sorry about this. The next step would be, with other governments, would be, the Speaker, your position has become untenable, can you resign? Because NRM can't die with you, can't sync with you. Government policies can't sync with you. You see, this is how other governments...
Why is it hard for you to believe that it was AI, as they say?
The what?
Why is it hard for you to believe that it was AI, as they say? It was AI that was used to fabricate that voice?
You think the public is going to understand you?
Okay, my next question on that matter, before I go for a short break, is people are saying, away from fighting Uganda, now this one is from Geno, that this NRM government wants to see people poor. That's why they fight anything or everything that they see people can get money from. I will cite different examples they have given me. One, they've said, when gold was found in Mubende, they came and owned up the land and just people. When tea was doing better, they had disorganized tea sector and now people are poor. So they saw that coffee was making people rich. And some of them say, this is public, these are issues, these are the statements from public that we read and we see, say that NRM is okay when people are poor, and that's how they can govern them, because they can give them some tokens. But when they have their money, for example, people have been quoting like in Masaka people have started giving the politicians money, just like, if you go there, instead of them asking you, they just say, they give you. That NRM is fearing that, and that's the intention. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, by and large, it is the truth. I've also been part of those who want to think in certain aspects like that, although I feel a heavy heart to say it. Some of the examples recently, you remember when Katonga gave way, the Katonga Bridge. Do you know where we used to pass?
Yes.
Where?
We used to go through Tambala. That's the route I used.
And the Rukol of Gomba and the Sembabuli.
Yes.
How many kilometers?
But it's also happened like...
No.
That was a strategy that the government didn't prepare.
How many kilometers?
I don't know how many kilometers are there to Masaka. I can't say the accurate kilometers, but it was a long distance. And I can say to that one, we can say it is happening in northern Uganda. Recently I was in Kitogu. It took us 13 hours.
You have not. When we went through that route, what did we see?
As in what? Infrastructures? what do you want to say to people? Because I can't.
At least at your time when we were talking about reconciliation and all these things, I don't want to point them out, but it was a nasty picture. Seeing over 122 kilometers going through land that is divided by 2 farms. One, Tinyefun's on one side, the other one, the first family. Coming to the middle of Gomba, which is Kabulasoke. Half the district gone, the 2 farms. And that road serves the 2 farms, maybe the other one of Kandihok. Up to Sembabule, Komansimbi Sembabule. And then you cross over. What I'm saying, it's not about owning up. Yeah, for God's sake, give me a breather. We are talking about facts.
You're saying over 100 kilometers.
We are talking about facts.
Yes.
Okay? And facts don't lie. That swath of the 2 farms, everyone saw. I had never witnessed this. I witnessed it then. But I also know that, for example, in Masaka City, you know the road that joins Nyendo to where Bukoba Road starts and to the roundabout in Mbarara. Do you know how many kilometers it is?
You can tell us.
Do you know how many kilometers it is?
You can tell us and why you are saying it.
Less than 4. Do you know the road between Viramalia that crosses to Kabulasoke? Do you know how many kilometers it is?
You can tell us and decide. And these people who are watching us,
do you know how many kilometers it is?
They will go to confirm.
No. Do you know how many kilometers it is? I don't. The confirmation, you see, these are facts. Like the moon comes and the sun comes. If I point out that today there was an eclipse, it is an eclipse. So sometimes you also feel maybe we are not fairly and equitably sharing the national cake. Okay? We are not reasonably targeting where that taxpayer man and woman who gives a lot to this country. Because you okay to build a very good road at the side, Muchitogo, and you do well, but you spend 30 years not constructing 4 kilometers. Then the 27 miles between Masaka and the Bukoba. This is a transnational route, transnational, affecting our trade, affecting our businesses, affecting our relationship with those countries and the like. How do we prioritize on earth? How do we prioritize?
Why do you think it's intentional?
So, now, you compare that 27-mile stretch from Masaka to Mutukula, and you compare with 122 kilometers. 122 kilometers from the middle of Fomampigi up to the other side. Guys, people only are requesting for justice and fairness. Now, without going, I'm saying sometimes, but of course, I feel a heavy heart to point out some of these things.
Okay, let me remind our people about lunch hour fellowship with Pastor Grace Kemirembe Semwogere from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday this week. Don't miss Pastor Grace Kemirembe. She's a very good, nice lady. I always watch her TikTok videos. They are very good. I think today even I watched one where she said she realized she had to pray more at 32 or 33 so that she can get married. Please don't miss her. She has good stories. She has very good gospel, and I know it will not leave you the same. When is the high flyer? From 5:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Don't miss. They say an early bird, you can finish that proverb. I want you to be part of high flyer There's a lot to learn from this event. And story is hosted by our own Dr. Joseph Serwada. I also want to remind you about Passover Music Challenge. The deadline is on 15th November 2024. Come and be part of this challenge. You may win yourself different items like TV, radios, recording your songs, and many other things. And also don't forget that you people who have Azam TV, BTV is coming on Azam channel 368, beginning 1st November this year, will be on Azam. So everyone who have Azam, it's a great pleasure to tell you that we'll be watching BTV on Azam TV at channel 368 from 1st November 2024. Probably I can't mistell you about Passover. That is on 31st of December. Every person you need to be in Nambole. We are going back to Nambole to pray for this country, to pray for ourselves, and see that next year be a different year, a year of progress and many other good things. You're still watching BTV and DreamTV. I'm Ronald Tweheyo. I have Mr. Mukaku, former presidential candidate. Mr. Mukaku has been this. He has seen it all. Has been beaten, imprisoned, hurt emotionally, hurt everywhere. But he's still saying, I don't know why he's not giving up, but that question I'll ask it later as we're about to leave this space. Mr. Mukaku, there's also these people who are saying, and the Uganda Coffee Development Authority was put by government. Was put there by NRM government. It was a thought of a cabinet. That is one. They will say it has been under supervision of government, Ministry of Agriculture at large. So why do you think this is their child? They know how to handle. Why does it bother you?
Who?
You people who are saying they are targeting Uganda, they want to see Ugandans poor, and yet they have been, even people have been making money when they have
I don't want to, in a final analysis, to conclude like that. I think the coffee debate and bill, the fate of its bill, should be differently handled.
Would you take what Mr. Mpuga said? He said he just needs to be withdrawn and thrown away. Maybe they do more research and more engagement.
That is Right Honorable Mpuga, but let's listen to Mukaku.
Yes.
And I know later on we shall harmonize our positions.
Okay.
I don't feel right the way government is now coming out to handle the rationalization, so-called rationalization of government departments in the need to reduce the administrative burden and duplication of services and the like. Coffee, like a number of others, including oil, is an economic common height of this country, contributing 24 to 25% to our GDP. Go back to the family. If, say, you're a cattle keeper, you do what we call animal husbandry. You earn meagerly, but maybe at home you have a house girl because you have a kid. Very important. Very important. A kid, very important in the family. That's why you now want to hire some maid, housemaid, okay? Because you're working and your wife is working. You can't sacrifice your jobs. Much as you're earning meagerly, but you still need the child to survive. So it's okay to hire a housemaid, isn't it? It can also be okay to hire somebody to help you with house chores, such that, again, you can be productive enough in the sectors that earn the family living. But because you're a herdsman, you do animal husbandry, you feel you need somebody who is going to help you with the cattle, isn't it? Why? Because you get most of your revenue from the cattle. You need to handle it carefully and midwife it carefully. You need an extra hand. It's not that you are being wasteful with your little money. So that's why you now have those three. When we're talking about a country and you have what we call social and economic command heights of that country, they need a little bit of better management, specialized management. That's why today we talk about the Uganda Oil and Petroleum Authority. That's why you are also talking about the NIRA. NIRA. And you're not taking NIRA back to the ministry. Understand? Because this is very, very, very important.
Mr. Museveni, in his letter, he said, in his press statement, he said, those who are talking don't know how they operate as a government. And several times, even when he was beginning UCDA, there are also those who opposed him.
Yeah. They could have been right or wrong. What were the facts then? Coming from the Kamia, I don't know whether you read about the Kamia, the Musazis, the number 10 resist, number 9, number 8, number 7 resistances. What were they about? Since 1940s up to the 1960s. Can we return the economic command heights of this country in the hands of the indigenous citizens? Because what they saw, the Asian Ugandans or Asians were doing, all the benefits were going to the Asians, foreign at the time, probably because they had a certain caste, they were taking everything away from the indigenous Ugandans. It was an spirited resistance which yielded into the creation of cooperative movement, which operated at primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, plus one which was a quasi-quaternary level, a government parastate called the Uganda Coffee Marketing Board. And then we had other boards produced, and other cash crops had Cotton Marketing Board and the like. Now, it is at that level that Uganda registered the highest exports, productivity, and forex earning. Second, third, fourth in the world to Brazil. It's on record. Did our MPs and the ministers concerned and the executive did really help this debate by going back to that? What really worked then that has not worked under Uganda Coffee Development Authority? Today,
they say there is unexposed corruption because someone was saying with the money that the monies that UCDA announces that they have contributed to this government, it's more or less compared to what exact money they get. They say what the white are always told to Otajeno, or what they always give to national treasury is lesser compared to the what.
Let's not use the same excuses that destroyed our cooperative movement. I was there as a young man when the NRM had just come. They gave only one excuse, that you see why we need to go do away with the cooperatives, because when people take their produce to the cooperative, to the marketing boards and cooperative unions, they are always given a promissory note. It was actually a tender.
They also pointed out, and that this is exclusive, they also pointed out that they are given the money for market in certain countries. And then they made a report that they had even established some selling points. But when the committee visited those countries, they really didn't see anything like that. And that gives a reason why they think UCDA must be dissolved.
If actually our heads work and our brains work as a country, it's not long ago that we have the scandal of Byakutaga, who went with the salaries of our soldiers. There was a scandal of the helicopter, of the jet, how did we call them? Junk helicopters.
In fact, recently,
which were procured. There's
also another man, I think now he's in Uganda. He ran away with 32 billion. That was meant to pay people who supplied tea seedlings, people in Chigas and other areas. But he ran away with it, and I think these days he's in Sage or somewhere.
Have you heard of the scandals in the NSSF? going back to going back to the military.
Let's leave
all the scandals.
Mr. Mkaku,
Why don't we advocate?
Mr. Mkaku.
Why don't, using the same analogy, why don't we advocate for taking the military away? We forget all about it because people have made mistakes.
So I have 2 minutes here.
And the monies have been lost.
I have like 3-4 minutes here. You see all the scandals we've said. There's even the recent one of you receiving some good money, some billions. And someone has told me here, you will do me bad if you don't ask Mr. Mkaku about the said billions.
Number one, that's how we lose debates. One is on coffee. Instead of going to, because this is a very important debate that you have brought.
Yes.
Just can you imagine with this very precious airtime, you are diverting to that. Number one, if I've taken money, for what? Who gave it to me? Just go to the person who gave the money and ask him, how much did you give Mkaku? Show us how you gave him this money. I still remain the same Mkaku. Many times I've heard people say Mkaku is nothing. And every other time you call me here, if I was nothing, why were you calling me here? If I actually add nothing to that. But secondly, if I'm that nothing, why should I deserve the billions? If you go to, for example, Kampala State Council, which is under the whatever of the president and his ministers, they have failed even to provide 4.1 billion for Kasasiro collection. Okay? And recently we had an accident. Bodies are still buried under there. And you also believe, as a journalist, that Museveni can get 18 billion or 9 as they saw 8, or even 4, or even 1 to give to Mkaku.
No, they gave you as a block, not as Mkaku.
If they gave us as a block, and did we distribute it to the block?
No, that's why it get.
That's why.
That's how we got on about it.
What are the other members of the block waiting for to go to the president? Say you gave us money. These people have eaten it.
That's why they came out.
No, what I'm saying, the one who gave is
there
available. Okay. And they have the figures. There were other stakeholders. What is so difficult to get the truth? See, let's not divert to go to cheap things.
This was a viewer's question, and I could not let you go without answering it.
This is cheap, but again, to divert, because you don't know what I was going to say about this Coffee Development Authority. And now time is running out.
Yeah, you have like 2 minutes.
Yeah, can you imagine? So, don't give things that are not worth the airtime.
Talk about 8 billion.
It's not
given to 2-3 people.
Yeah, but
from a national treasury.
You give 80 billion. You think 80 billion is like carrying a bundle of 1 million or 500 or something? 80 billion. Do you know how much money that one is? 8 billion is 8,000 millions. I carried it on what head? Where am I keeping it? Which bank? Which bank?
I think
I'll give you my account and you see whether I have that amount of money. And again, if the giver is there.
You've been answered there. Let's your concluding remarks on coffee.
What I'm saying,
because we still have a chance.
What I'm saying on the coffee debate.
Two things: sit withdrawn or sit rejected, or sit passed.
No, I still think there's a lot of things we can do in between now, because it has gone to committee level. Committee level people can contribute. It will come back to plenary. If we sober up and really attack it from the right angles, we shall all get what we want as a country, so that Uganda does not lose, instead of just playing politics or doing what we call namiemuliso or even selfishness, bringing policies that are going to destroy our economic command heights. We have a history, how Uganda was performing under the cooperative movement and the Coffee Marketing Board. They're not talking about that, okay? We know the level we had gone, number 2 in the world, number 3 in the world. Now we are between 9 and 15. So that shows there is a gap. Can we compare what worked then and what is not working today? What can we correct for the best of that? And again, the solution is not to have certain professional, experienced primary stakeholdership in managing our black gold, okay? In managing our black gold. Don't take away that right, but just bolster the way it can be managed better. I'm not
okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mukaku.
We can take back only two things, which are the functions of the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Registering players within, that can be government, and levying the taxes. But
Thank
don't leave everything to the tax collector to determine. The tax collector, which is government, should not determine how coffee is.
I'll have you back.
Managed.
And I know. This is Truth Be Told. I've been honored to hear you. I just want to remind you about one thing, which is Passover, 31st December. We meet tomorrow. Have a good night.